Hey Jay, so excited that you could jump on and cook one of your favorite plant-based dishes with us tonight. You guys, this is my friend Jenny. We have been best friends since what, ninth grade?
Ninth grade.
We met in the ninth grade at Catholic all-girls high school back in good old Cleveland, Ohio. And who knew all these years later we would both be eating plant-based when we lived off of French fries and chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
For 4 years.
All the time.
So tell us, this is Jenny's recipe, you guys. She's sharing it with me and with all of you. So I'm gonna let her tell us what we're cooking tonight.
Okay, we are cooking mung bean stew. Super easy to do, doesn't take a lot of prep time, work, other than soaking your beans 3 hours ahead of time. But otherwise, super easy, and you can put whatever vegetables you want in there. So I love mushrooms, so I have a tendency to put mushrooms in everything that I make. And
that reminds me.
Oh, did you get mushrooms?
Okay. I got mushrooms, but I forgot to take them out because they weren't on the recipe card. But I'm doing oyster mushrooms.
Oh, good. Okay, I went boring, but however you like it, do however.
I just wanted to try something different. I'm really excited about this recipe because I've actually never used mung beans before, but back like the first couple weeks of quarantine, when everybody was in panic mode, I went on to Thrive and I was like, I need things that will stay in the pantry for a long time. And I ordered like 3 bags of mung beans. No idea what to do with them. And then when I asked Jenny if she wanted to share her plant-based journey with us and cook tonight, she throws out a mung bean stew recipe, which couldn't have been more perfect. So I get to try them for the first time.
Oh, good. Easy.
I did a poll on Instagram. I was like, who's tried mung beans before? 90% of people had never tried them. So
oh, good. Okay, yeah, super easy. And grains are like my meat. So when there was like a shortage of beans when I went to the store, I was like, oh my God, everyone's talking about where's the meat? Where's the meat? I'm like, where are my beans? I need my beans. I need grains. I need my rice. I need like all that stuff. So that's what I consider like my meat of a meal is.
That's a good tip because it's like your hearty meat, you know, that keeps you full and satiated, and they usually have more of like a meat-like texture, and I feel like you can flavor them so many different ways.
Yeah, actually when I was done, so the very last meal I ever had was bolognese pasta. That was one of my favorite meals. And I just remember being like, all right, this is it. This is my last meal. And this dish kind of takes me back to it. It kind of has that texture.
Okay, so, nice. Well, I love a good pasta, so I'm really excited for that. Yeah. Should we start are you already chopped up? Should I start chopping up?
Yeah, I chopped a little bit, but
all right. I'm gonna chop while we talk. You know what I was thinking? So you guys, I remember when Jenny first went plant-based, and it was a really long time ago. She came to visit me in Tennessee. My boys were still super little. And I remember laying out like this whole plate of like meats and cheeses and nuts and crackers. And I think we had some bell peppers and hummus maybe and some carrots. And when she got to my house after traveling all day and I poured her a glass of wine, I found out that she was plant-based and couldn't eat any of the meat or the cheese anymore. But at the time, I wasn't super open to that and had no idea it was going to be part of my future journey. But Jenny's story of why she went plant-based and what it did for her life is really inspiring, I think. And we all kind of have our different reasons for choosing to try a plant-based diet. But Jenny, tell us what inspired you to go plant-based?
So, like growing up, and especially in Cleveland, everything was just meat and potatoes. And I had this idea of what health was, and I thought I was really healthy, and you know, with especially dairy and milk does a body good. And so I just was living a really busy life. I worked a lot. I did a lot of microwave English muffins with like sliced American cheese in the microwave, and that was second breakfast. And anyway, I thought I was eating healthy. So, and then one day I was traveling home from my sister. So I was flying home, and the next day I felt really sick. And I was like, oh man, maybe it was like an egg sandwich that I had on the airplane. And I was like, oh, it's probably just something I ate. And then every day it just got a little worse. And I kept going to the doctor, and the doctor was like, oh, you have food poisoning. I was like, a week later, I have food poisoning still? That doesn't sound right. And I will just say, in terms of like medical and going to a doctor, and if you feel like something's wrong, like you really do, you learn to really be my own advocate.
Yes, so important.
It is so important, and you know your body better than anyone. So anyway, I had a really great primary doctor, and she sat with me almost every night. I kept going into the urgent care where she was working, and we were just trying to figure it out. She did a ton of tests, and every day it was just getting worse and worse. And I had a really hard time driving. I had a hard time sitting. I was sick all the time. And finally one night she was like, I can't figure out what's going on. You have to go to the ER. So I went to the ER, and they did a CT scan, and they found, which by the way, at this point I was drugged up on so many pain meds, and they had finally had to put me on morphine just to get like a little bit of relief. So that's how intense it was all the time. And then they found in a CT scan that there was an issue with my pancreas, but they didn't know what to do about it. And so they sent me to a GI specialist, which I went to, more testing, all kinds of tests. Nobody had any answers. I tried, they kept putting me on like the brat diet, which is like really bland food. They put me on all different kinds of different medications. And then finally, I am obsessed with documentaries, so I try to watch them all the time. And about a month into all of this, I went to go see Forks Over Knives in the movie theater. And
So how long ago was that? Is that like 10 years?
9 years ago this month.
Okay, wow.
I always celebrate my little vegan anniversary because it
I love
changed
it.
my life so much. So the day is always, I don't know, I just like give a little nod out to it. But watch that doc, and I just was so inspired to try I was desperate to try anything. And so that night, I remember I had my last meal was that pasta bolognese, and I was like, tomorrow morning I'm going to the grocery store, and I'm just gonna I went online, I found a recipe that was from their website. And at that time, 9 years ago, there wasn't really anything out there. There weren't a lot of books. There wasn't a lot of, nothing at the grocery store really. There just wasn't a lot of stuff out there. So ordered all the books I could, and went to the store and kind of just went for it. And then within 3 days, all the pain went away for me.
3 days. That's
3 days.
So insane, you guys, how quickly changing your diet can change how you feel. And I know just from all of my studies of gut health that it takes it takes one meal, so less than 1 day, for the bacteria in your gut to start to respond to changes in your diet, whether those are good changes or bad changes. So you can literally start to feel better if you're suffering in as little as a week.
And when you're in pain, you just want some relief. You just want it to go away. So why not? Everyone kept saying, oh my God, that's so radical. You're going vegan. Like, wow, are you sure about that? And it was like, better than being on all these pain medications and living with this for the rest of my life and not really knowing what's going on with me. So I don't really think changing just to plants was that radical. But the effect that it had was radical. It blew my mind. And because I felt so good, I just kept going for it and reading every single thing that I could get my hands on. And there's this great book called Idiot's Guide to Plant-Based by Juliana Eder. And now they did a revised version with Ray Cronice, her partner, and they're brilliant, and they really just kind of like break it down. But she really was kind of like a guiding light for me during that time, kind of make sense of why. Because I still in my head was like, well, I still want dairy. You know, I have coffee. Why can't I have my half and half in there? It's just a little bit. What's a little bit gonna do? And then you start reading about everything, and you're like, oh yeah, that's terrible for you. That's why you're having all these problems.
So do you feel like, okay, so you started 9 years ago, within 3 days, your pain was pretty much gone. So that's dramatic. Did you have any back and forth? Did you have any times where you were like, I'm just going to eat this burger or put this cheese on my food?
I never went back to meat because everything that I was learning about it takes your body sometimes 48 hours to process meat. So your body's working really, really hard to break the meat down. And so that was like an easy one for me to register and just be like, okay, I'm done with that. Dairy was really hard because I just couldn't understand why dairy would be so bad for you when all we've heard is how good it is for you. And then once I started doing more research, I was like, okay, it's actually one of the worst things you can have for inflammation and all these other things that are not working really properly in my body. So that made it really easy. And the fact that I think for me, I'm lucky in a way that I have almost an immediate response if I don't eat well.
Right.
Like whole grain. That it made it easy, which I think is harder for other people when you're making that transition.
Yeah, I think some people, maybe they have like just more resilient bodies. They don't feel what's happening on the inside until it's really bad. Like I started feeling it at a young age, but it took me a long time to figure it out. Kind of similar to you, but just different issues. But I know a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't affect me, so it's okay. But I think what we don't realize is just because we don't feel the effect, there's still things happening on the inside that you can't see. And it's like a ticking time bomb waiting for the inflammation to get bad enough for you to actually feel it. You need to do something about it.
Exactly. And I think too, you know, the thing that I kept getting from people in my life was, but the quality, don't you want a good quality of life? Meaning, don't you want to eat non-plant-based items? And I'm like, I am doing this because I want a quality of life. So I think even if you just think about yourself in the future, and it's hard to think, I think the same way. I mean, I don't know what 60 or 70 or 80 is going to look like. It doesn't seem really far away, but I think you do want that quality later. So, and it was other things too. I mean, within a week, at like 4 o'clock, you're just like, oh my God, I'm dragging. I need a little coffee. I need a little something. Yeah. Wait, I never needed that again. My energy went through the roof. I've never been a good sleeper. I've always been a nerd. I've always wanted to go to bed at 10 because my parents were, anyway.
It's true. I remember that. Jenny was the first one to fall asleep at the sleepover party.
I think in college we went to one of your like sorority parties or whatever, and we remember when we drove and got really lost, and it was 4 hours to get there, and then there was this huge party, and I was like, "Good night, I'm going on the couch."
I do remember that. Yes.
But I've never been a good sleeper, and within really short amount of time, all of a sudden I could sleep through the night. I had no problem sleeping. All these other things like my skin got better, and I was working out almost every day. I went to a personal trainer, I was working out, and I wasn't losing any weight. And I obviously didn't go into this thinking I wanted to lose weight, but I lost over 30 pounds, and I lost over 15 in 1 month because
that's crazy.
Getting rid of all that stuff. So it was just it was an unintended consequence of it, but it was just my body trying to just get rid of all the garbage. that was
I have to say, when I'm plant-based, my weight is so stable. I feel like every other time in my life, it didn't matter what I was doing workout-wise. When I wasn't plant-based, my weight just seemed to fluctuate a lot. Even within like the 30 days of a month, like I could gain 5 pounds when I got my period, just bloat and inflammation. Now I don't even know when it's coming. Like without a tracker, I have no idea when to expect it because I don't really have any symptoms, and my weight has been so stable. And you know, I used to have like 3 sizes of clothes in the closet. It was like, yeah. And now it's like I've had these shorts for probably 4 or 5 years. You know, that never would have happened before. I would have needed like clothes for different seasons, and depending on how diligent I was being in restricting my calorie intake, you know, that determined what size I was. Now I don't measure my food. I don't count calories. I just eat until I'm full, and my food's more colorful, more flavorful, more fun, I feel like, than it ever was before. I feel like before I was eating like chicken and asparagus 24/7, just trying to like maintain my weight. And now I'm like, I mean, we have like what? We're probably gonna have 12 plants in this dish that we're about to make.
Oh yeah, and you know you're getting like everything that you need. I never worry about like vitamins other than B12. I don't worry about vitamins. I don't have to worry. You're not having to like be digitally just tracking everything anymore. I actually, my calorie count went up. And it's just, I really was amazed that like every facet of my life changed. And it changed so much. Like I talked about it nonstop. And then I started noticing people in my life started making changes, and then that changed their life. And because it's hard, you know, you just have to take people where they're at. I never really wanted to talk about it because it just felt, I don't know, I just felt judged for people really have an opinion about being plant-based.
Yeah, they do. We talk about that in our groups all the time. And I'm always like, you just have to stand your ground and be firm in your beliefs. And like, I always just say to people, I know you might not get it, but I'm just doing what makes me feel good. It's like, and I have zero judgment against you. If that's not what makes you feel good, you should do what makes you feel good. This is just what makes me feel good. And, you know, I keep it that simple. And I think also when you don't preach about it and try to pressure other people into getting to where you're at because they need to go on their own journey, they do end up coming along and at least making some changes. I think it's one of the most fun things about being on a journey like this is watching how it has like this ripple effect out into the people in your lives and then out to the people in their lives. And it's like everyone's getting just a little bit healthier because you chose to figure out what was going on with you and get yourself healthier. I think that's super cool.
I agree. And you know, you've got like I mean, just it's just what you're saying. It's makes it really fun when you see people who are so against it start to be like, oh wait, what are you doing? You look so different. Everything's changed. Your whole vibe and energy and all that stuff. And I will say now I've realized the benefits for animals and the environment, and so now I'm like fully on board with it. But I remember just qualifying it, just being like, oh no, it's medical. I have to do this because for medical reasons.
Yeah, people are so much more understanding of that. Like Jake can't have gluten because of his pandas, and when he first had to go gluten-free, we all went, and he was 5, so this was a long time ago. And it was like any restaurant we went to, if we asked about it, whatever, it was like immediate eye rolls. Like, oh my God. And then we'd be like, no, it's medical. He can't, like, and then they would immediately be like, well, does he have celiac? And I'm like, no, he has pandas. And nobody knew what that was. It was like, I felt justified because I could say he had a medical condition. But like, so what? If I don't want to eat gluten, that's a personal choice, you know?
Absolutely.
And I'll just be okay with that, you know? But
and
I think people are getting
better time than ever to go because groceries, I mean, you can go almost anywhere now and find what you need.
Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely was harder, you know, probably when you started 10 years ago, but it's just getting easier and easier. And even more traditional restaurants offer vegan options now, which is so nice. I never feel like I have to be deprived when I go out to a restaurant. There's always something I can find. And I mean, I've literally found vegan options at dive bars, you know, like,
Yeah.
and I'm not embarrassed to say, like, hey, I'll take a beer, and what are your vegan options? You know, they'll usually just work with you. Like, people are, for the most part, if you approach it like with a positive attitude and a smile and a please and a thank you, like, people are super accommodating. Really.
Yeah, I think now is a good time.
Yeah. So all right, I'm all chopped up.
Okay.
You're all chopped up. What are we doing next?
Okay, so we are going to put the mung beans in a medium-sized saucepan and fill the water just so that it covers the mung beans.
All right, so you guys, we have 2 cups of mung beans that we've soaked for at least 3 hours. I'm straining mine out of their dirty water, rinsing them, putting them in my saucepan. I don't know if you guys can see them, but they're like these, they're kind of hard looking, little green pellets of beans. And now I'm covering this with water just to cover it.
With water just until it just covers the beans.
Okay, done.
Okay, so put that on like a medium heat.
Okay.
And we're just gonna bring it to a little bit of a boil.
All right, cool.
Okay, so
what else do we have going on? What else are we putting in here?
Okay, so for me, and again, you can put any veggies that you want in there, but I put carrots, celery, mushrooms, and potatoes.
Okay, nice. So I'm gonna add some to mine. Let's see what else. Okay, I have a white potato and a red skin potato.
Okay.
Onion, tomato, mushrooms. And I'm gonna chop up a carrot and a little bit of leek because I need to use this leek. So I'm gonna add that. And I didn't have any fresh kale, and they were out at my grocery store, but I have some frozen kale that I can toss in at the end.
Great. Frozen veggies are a lifesaver because they usually pick them at peak harvest and they last forever, and they make I use frozen veggies all the time.
Yeah, me too. I love frozen veggies, and I'm a huge fan. Like, this is a little bit more of like an intensive cooking recipe than probably something I make like just on the average day to day. But if I make something like this, I'll make a big batch and then I'll eat it all week. But I'm a one pot meal kind of person. Like, I love to just throw a bunch of frozen veggies, a nice marinator sauce on top, sprinkle it with like some hemp hearts or some beans or, you know, whatever, and
yeah, it's perfect.
It's super easy.
Because the idea is to just be easy, because when you're working all day, who wants to come home and cook? And there's so many meals that, especially now that once you start getting familiar with different veggies and spices and sauces, you can make something really quick and easy. And I do the same. On Sundays, I do like a big batch cooking session, and then it's just my lunches or my dinners for the whole week.
Yeah. You know, Nick and I were talking about that the other day too. He was saying how since he went plant-based almost a year ago, he's never had so many spices in his spice cabinet. And it's funny because the first time I went to visit him, when we came up with the cookbook idea, we were cooking some stuff, and he literally had like salt, pepper, garlic powder, and curry seasoning. And I'm pretty sure that was it. Like, those were his go-to seasonings. Yeah. And then as we started working on the cookbook and he really started to experiment more with cooking, he, like, now his cabinet is overflowing with spices. And I think it's one of the most fun things. Like, it's okay in the beginning if you're not that creative. Like, yeah. I wasn't starting out. I know Nick wasn't. Like, Jenny's telling us, like, you gotta kind of ease yourself in and find your groove. So go with what you know. But then, you know, over time, once you start to get comfortable with your staples, then you start experimenting a little bit and adding new things and trying new seasonings. And we forget that the herbs that we add to our food when we're cooking actually have tons of health benefits, and they're considered plants for the, they're food for our good gut bacteria as well. So the more diversity of herbs that you can get in along with all of your fruits and veggies and everything, the healthier you're going to be, the more variety you're going to get of, vitamins, nutrients, antioxidants, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of one of my favorite combos is sage and fennel, because I think it gives vegetables like eggplant and mushrooms and lentils, it gives them like a sausagey flavor. So I love to do that on my veggies for pizza.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love fennel. There's also, you can buy smoked flavoring and get some shredded coconut and put that on there, and it tastes almost like bacon. So it's like a good.
Okay. Nice. I did, we're running a little plant-based challenge group on Facebook right now. And today's recipe that we shared was eggplant beef jerky. So beef jerky. And we made like a smoky bacon marinade, marinated the eggplant and then cooked it in the air fryer. And you get like that nice, crispy, kind of charred, burnt, jerky like feel and texture from the eggplant. It's kind of meaty like, and then you get that nice like smoked sort of bacon teriyaki flavor.
Oh, I need that recipe. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a really good one. I ate the entire eggplant as my afternoon snack.
Oh, nice.
With zero guilt.
Yeah, I mean, I usually have to put kale in smoothies. I have to hide it because I don't love salads, even though everyone just assumes that all I eat are salads. They're not my favorite thing to eat. So I like started experimenting with kale chips that take 2 seconds to make in the oven, and just hiding it in dishes like this.
I love that. See, Jenny's a 10-year vegan, and she doesn't like salads, and she's still hiding her veggies to make sure that she gets her nutrients. So yeah, if you don't like something but you want to try it because it's good for you, find ways to hide it in your food. I love putting cauliflower in my smoothies, even though I like cauliflower.
Yeah.
It gives such a nice creamy texture.
That's a great idea to put in a smoothie.
Yeah, I think we think of greens in smoothies a lot, but cauliflower I feel like hides really nicely because it's white, it just blends in, it makes it nice and creamy. You get lots of nutrients, and if you're putting fruit and stuff with it, you can't taste the cauliflower at all.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. So we let this cook, then what do we do next?
Okay, so the garlic, onions, and grated ginger are gonna go into a saucepan that'll be on like a medium. And I don't use oil. The recipe does call for oil. You can use oil if you want. I try not to use it in anything that I make, but that's just my preference.
Okay, so how do you saute it? Do you put a little like veggie broth in or just straight up?
So I'll put either like a little bit of water in or a little bit of veggie broth. And especially with mushrooms or anything like that you're sauteing, it releases so much water right away that you don't even really need to put any oil in it. And if I am roasting, I'll just put all the veggies in a bag, and because I've washed it, it's wet already. So I'll put them all in a bag, and then I'll just put whatever spices I want. And because of the water, the spices stick to the veggies. And then I just roast them as is, and they're fine. They taste the same to me anyway. They kind of taste the same.
Okay, that's such a good tip because I've never really cooked oil free, but last week I randomly was trying to do a couple of my recipes without oil, and I was using veggie broth, and some of them came out really good, but some of them were just really salty to me because of the veggie broth, and I thought, I wonder if I should have just done it with water because it was just way too salty.
Yeah, I stopped using, if I'm not cooking with veggie broth a lot, then I'll just, because I don't want to, leave it out for too long, or if I know I'm not going to use it, I'll just use some water. And you're using so many spices that it kind of, you'll just, salt it to taste.
Okay, so I'm going to follow Jenny's recipe. and I'm gonna push my oil out of the picture, and I'm gonna just do it straight up, no oil.
Okay. So you may notice in this recipe, when the mung beans are kind of boiling a little bit, there's going to be white froth, and you can take a spoon, spatula, whatever you have, and just kind of scoop it out if you want.
Okay.
Which is what I'm going to do.
All right, that's easy. Mine aren't too frothy yet, but I do have a little bit. So does the froth make it bitter?
I think it's, I actually don't know. It's just something I was taught to do.
All right. Well, then
from forever ago, so I just do it. But the reason why you soak the beans and mung beans or whatever it is, if you're not cooking with canned, even if you're cooking with canned, I tend to rinse them. But it's easier on the digestive system, especially when you're starting off plant-based. The digestive enzymes haven't really, it's just kind of can make it very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So to alleviate a lot of that, if you're not going to take a digestive enzyme, which I would say if you're starting out and you're new to plant-based, I might consider doing that before meals. But you can rinse your beans if you've got a can, and I use can all the time. Not all the time, but most of the time I use can just because it's quick and it's easy, but I do rinse it. And then that's why we soak the mung beans in the first place, is so that it makes it easier on your digestive system.
Yes, I love that. I use canned a lot too, and I do find that even the canned ones are already a little bit easier to digest because they're usually, just the ones that I get are stored in water, so it's kind of like they've been soaking, so I just rinse them. And if I cook them from scratch and I don't soak them, I do feel the difference. So
yeah, they can be a little rough.
It's a little tougher on the digestive system. So yeah, that's a great tip.
Okay, so you do want to just heat up your pan a little bit, and I am going to put a little bit of water in the pan. A little splash.
Okay. This seems like such a good anti-inflammatory recipe because we've got like fresh ginger, turmeric, cayenne. We've got so many prebiotics, like with the onion, and I added leek, and so this is a really gut-friendly recipe.
Yeah, and that's what I do love about just plant-based in general, is so much of it is anti-inflammatory, and so that's why you will feel such a difference in general.
I love that.
Okay, I should have set a timer for the mung beans. I'm just gonna set a little baby one.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably been what, like 7 or 8 minutes?
Yeah, and you kind of want to go about 15 minutes with this.
Okay, cool.
Just set another one. So as your pan is heating, once it's hot, you want to add the onions, the ginger, and garlic. I put a little extra garlic in mine. A little.
Nice. I did 3 cloves, but I made sure I picked the biggest cloves.
I did too.
I'm going to throw my leeks in too, because I feel like they're in the onion.
Oh, they are. Yeah, that's good.
Baxter's just literally laying right between my cutting board and the oven. So it's like a little obstacle course over here. I wish you guys could see him.
I know. Sometimes I dog sit, and he likes to sit with me while I cook, and it's perfect. He's like a little garbage can, and so when he's not here, I'm like, damn, I gotta clean up.
I really have been thinking about, like, feeding Baxter mostly plant-based as well. So, but I want to ease him in because he's been eating like whatever kibble, the family that had him was feeding him. So I got him some like regular but really healthy dog food, organic, whatever. And but today I was like chopping up some veggies. He's teething, so I gave him like little bits of apple, little bits of carrot, little bits of frozen banana, and he wasn't so keen on the carrots and the apples yet, but the frozen banana, he was all about. So
really, he didn't get like a little dog head, like a little headache, like you didn't see.
I broke it up into little pieces, so I think it was okay. But I think it felt good on his little teeth because he lost a tooth and he's got another one kind of dangling. So it's literally like having a child. But he seems to really like frozen banana. So I'm like, that'll be my base. When I try to introduce other things, I'm going to mix it with mashed up frozen banana because I think then he'll be more likely to try it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Works for kids too, guys.
Sure. Okay, so if your pan's hot, throw all those things in. Okay. And usually when you're sauteing onions, you just want to maybe 3 or 4 minutes until they're a little soft.
Yep.
We'll let those go. And the mung beans should be soaking up a lot of that water. So just keep an eye on it. And when it's looks a little soaked through, you'll know that it's done.
Okay.
I don't like to overcook the mung beans. So I'm trying to keep a little.
Are they still supposed to be hard?
They're supposed to be a little soft.
Okay.
So the water will evaporate and the beans will be a little soft. So do you have it on like a high-ish heat, like medium high?
Yes, they're getting there. My water's not evaporated yet, but Alexa wants to play music for us for some reason.
Okay. Same. It should take about 15 minutes, but my water hasn't evaporated either.
Okay, mine hasn't either.
Okay. So just want to make sure, especially since we are using water and not oil, that you're kind of tending to the onions, making sure they're not sticking. And there's some really great nonstick pans that don't have all the chemicals on them either that you could get to kind of help avoid the oil. And the reason for me with oil is just that there's no real nutritional value in oil. It's just a lot of calories and it's not doing anything to fill you up. So what's really the point if your body's not able to break it down as much and you're not getting a lot out of it? That's why I tend to stay away from it. But also preference for everybody.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Do you have a favorite pan or brand of pan?
Not a brand of pan, but I use this. It's kind of like a wok, just like a big, I don't know if you can kind of see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. I use this for everything. I make tons of stews, fog, stir fries, whatever I'm making. I almost always use this pan exclusively. And then for soups and chilies, I use like a really big pot.
Yeah.
And those are the two that I use the most. And I will say invest in a really good, sharp knife. It cut my prep time in half. It just made it so much easier. Just to be able, instead of like, you know, you're just like slicing into a tomato and it's work and it's all mushy and it just makes cooking so much easier and quick. It makes it so fast.
100%. And I love that because you have two go-to pots, which number one, that minimizes dishes. Like you're just using the same one every time, you know, and you keep reusing it and you just wash it. It's not like you're stacking up 30 pots in the, sorry, Jake keeps calling my phone. He knows we have a rule about only calling 7 times in a row when it's an emergency. Yeah, it hasn't really sunk into his little brain yet. But yeah, so that is a good tip. And I think, yes, for sure about the knives. My knives are really dull right now, and I can tell the difference. It's taking so much longer to chop everything up. It doesn't look as nice. And I said, as soon as the cookbook goes live, I want a new air fryer that's bigger because I love my air fryer, and I want new knives. Those are my 2 purchases that I'm going to make for my kitchen.
I can't believe it took me that long to get in that. I would say, oh, and the other thing that I use all the time is a food scraper. And this is really helpful to just kind of scoop everything up and put it into a pot or a bowl or whatever, but I use this all the time. They're really inexpensive. And I don't know, that's worth it. And then the other thing is, especially when you're just starting to cook, I find just taking the time to really kind of read through all the steps of a recipe is helpful. And I don't always do it, but I do try to kind of get everything chopped up and ready. It kind of seems like it'll take longer to prep ahead of time, but it makes it really easy. And then while things are kind of cooking, you can clean up as you go. So when everything is done, you're done.
Yes.
Less time. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of helps.
I 100% agree, because I cook so much now, and especially during quarantine, we're all cooking like pretty much every meal at home. But I have to say, like 6 years ago, I did an online cooking school, and it was plant-based. And I had great knives at the time. That was one of the things they taught us. And all of our recipes, when we would submit them to our instructor, we had to show our mise en place, or what, I don't know how you really say it in French, but you know what I mean, because you took French. I took Latin, so it was useless. But we had to show it every time, which meant like I always had to be accountable and pre-chop everything for my recipes. And I remember in the beginning thinking, this is going to be so annoying. It's going to take so much time. But it actually saves you so much time in the long run, because you're not going back and forth like, okay, I got to do this. Now I got to do this. It's like you read through, it's all laid out. And then when it's time to cook, you're not overcooking anything. You're not ignoring something. You're not neglecting things. You're not burning things. You're focused on the cooking part. And honestly, yeah, it saves a ton of time, and it's kind of fun to look at too. Like once you have it all like chopped up and prepped and everything, I always say you eat with your eyes first. You're like, this is going to be amazing, because it's like you get a preview of what you're eating.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so the onions and ginger and garlic should be good to go. And then we want to add all of the whatever vegetables you decided to cook with. So I'm adding mushrooms, potatoes, tomatoes, and carrots and celery.
Okay, I'm adding mushrooms, potatoes, tomatoes, and carrots. This is a lot of veggies. This is gonna last.
Yeah. And what's been really fun too is I bring a lot of stuff into work that I make, because it's just me. So makes it, I just making a ton of food, and then I want to share it and get some feedback. So that's been fun too. You can bring stuff in and see, kind of give people a little taste of what plant-based is like.
Yes, I love that. I love having people over. Like I'll have people over for like Super Bowl or movie night or pool party, and I'll lay out like a huge plant-based spread, but I don't say anything. I'm not like, oh, it's all plant-based, you know. And I might put out like, I don't know, a little bit of poke or something like that, just for people, you know, just to kind of like mix it up so it's not so obvious. But I'll have all the cheeses be plant-based. So I'll have like truffle cheese and Goudas and all kind of plant-based cheeses with crackers and everything. And nobody ever has any idea that it's all plant-based. It's like, if you don't know, you just go in, you see it all laid out beautifully. You got a nice glass of wine, you start snacking. And then later on, I'm like, oh, they're like, what kind of cheese was that? And then I show them, and they're like blown away that plant-based cheese can taste that good. But
yes, the plant-based cheeses are so good now.
Yeah, you can supplement anything nowadays, I feel like. Really.
So while the potatoes are in there, all your spices can go in. And so turmeric and what else is in here?
Cayenne, salt.
Salt. Just put that in. Now, we didn't grow up with a lot of salt in our house, so I tend to under-salt things, but salt really does bring out flavors. So
yeah, and I use pink Himalayan sea salt exclusively for like everything.
same, yeah.
And it's not the same as table salt, you guys. So it won't make you feel dehydrated. It's actually hydrating. And it's full of like great minerals. It's really good for you. So I salt it up with pink Himalayan sea salt. And I'm gonna up the ante on the cayenne because I like it spicy. So I put extra cayenne in mine. It's the fun of cooking plant-based, guys. So I love a recipe as a baseline, but I love how you were like, and then whatever, just use whatever vegetables you want. Like it's a stew. So if you don't like carrots, don't put carrots in yours. And if you like mushrooms, add mushrooms. And I think same with seasoning. Like you can use it as a guide, but especially because we're cooking plant-based, you can taste as you go. There's no raw meat in it. There's no raw eggs in it. And so you can just taste it and say, I would like this to have a little more salt, or I would like this to have a little more kick, or, oh, next time I make this, I won't put so much cayenne because it was too hot for me. But taste it as you go and just adjust the recipes. Use them as a guide and not as a rule book, is what I think.
Completely agree, because you want to be able to stick with it, especially if you're new to it. And I used to love tuna sandwiches, tuna salads, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I find that chickpeas do wonders in kind of recreating some of the things that I used to like crab cakes. I make crab cakes out of chickpeas, and kind of what used to be a tuna sandwich or a salad, I just kind of mash up chickpeas, and then instead of using mayonnaise, I just use like a vegan mayonnaise. And it's the same thing, and it tastes really, really good and
Yeah.
easy. It takes 15 minutes to make, and you have it for days. And
we did a fish and chips because Nick is from the UK, and that's one of his favorite foods, one of his favorite meals. So we were like, okay, we got to figure out a way to recreate fish and chips. And honestly, I was like, this is going to be tough. I don't know if we're going to be able to get this in the cookbook. He nailed it so good. Like the first time I bit into it, I was like, holy shit, that's effing delicious. Like it totally tastes like, if you didn't tell me it was tofu, wouldn't have known the difference. Totally tastes like fish, was absolutely delicious. So I really feel like for the most part, maybe a steak is the hardest thing to recreate. I was never a big steak person anyway, so I don't really miss that kind of stuff. But the oyster mushrooms I love because I make fried calamari out of them. Like I bread them and I throw them in the air fryer, and I put Bragg's has this like seafood sort of seasoning. It has seaweed and stuff in it, so it gives it like that fishy flavor. And then you can just dip it in a tartar sauce or like a red sauce or whatever you like. And honestly, I don't feel like you can really tell the difference.
That's a great idea. Oyster mushrooms are great. Portobello mushrooms are really great. They have like a good meaty texture to it.
Yeah.
And tofu gets a bad rap, and I was on that train for a long time. There's a lot of great tofu that's not super processed, and
yeah, I agree.
Definitely quenches that.
Everyone's afraid of tofu nowadays, and tempeh because people are afraid of soy. But I'm like, if processed soy, non-organic, genetically modified soy, we should be afraid of. But like organic, non-GMO, sprouted, all those things, look for those on your package for your tofu and your tempeh, and you have a great protein option and like a heavier, hearty option to really make your food fill you up more and taste good. Taste like the comfort foods a lot of times that we feel like we're missing.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so the mung beans, Calie, maybe you want to check on them. I just turned mine off.
Okay.
I always have especially if I'm cooking for other people, I have several different spoons so that I can taste test.
Nice.
But they should be good at this point.
Okay. So I need to taste test them?
Yeah, they are on my end, pretty soft.
Yeah. They're a little chewy, but not crunchy. Is that right?
Yeah. You don't want them to be super soft and mushy, at least for me. Everyone's got a different
It's a
preference
good
on taste.
flavor. It tastes like a green pea to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to expect. They taste like green peas, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Similar to kind of like a lentil vibe.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. All right, I'm excited about this recipe.
Okay, so you might want to also just kind of check in on the potatoes.
Okay.
That's kind of like a good indicator if things are getting there. And then also, if you haven't, I do have like a little. I did put tomatoes in there, but I do like adding a little bit of the tomato paste.
Okay.
And you can add that in as well, just like a.
This is what I mean, you guys, about like not stressing out if you don't have exactly, because you're going for flavors. So I don't have any tomato paste, and couldn't find any at the grocery store. Honestly, like all the baking section stuff is sold out. But the boys and I made pizzas this week, and I have some pizza sauce left, so I'm gonna throw a tablespoon of that in there. It's just a little thinner than tomato paste, but I think it'll work.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Nice. I need a fork so I can stab my potatoes and see how soft they are. They're getting there, but my potatoes are still a little crunchy.
Yeah, mine are too. But they are getting there.
Hi, Baxter. You want to say hi?
Oh, yeah, let's see it.
Are you wiped out from the doggy park? Come on. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Ready? Oh, come on, big baby. Here he is.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
Say hi, Roxy. He loves to give kisses. Hey, say hi.
Oh, he's got a great face.
Thank you. He's a cutie.
Oh, I wish I could come over.
I know. It stinks.
I know, and I haven't seen your new place. You moved in the middle of all this.
I know. I moved in on March 5th, and we went into quarantine on March 14th. So, you know, we haven't really got to enjoy the full benefits of living at the beach and having the pool right outside our front door and the 3-story outdoor gym that's been closed since we moved in. But that stuff will all come back eventually. And in the meantime, I still live close enough to the beach to smell the ocean. I can walk down and look at it, and there's tons of palm trees, and it's a beautiful walkable neighborhood with sidewalks and friendly people. So I feel like it's not a bad place to be quarantined. Can't complain.
That's how I know. Every morning I think how lucky and grateful I am that. Good.
You have a beautiful backyard too.
Yeah.
Your backyard is gorgeous.
It's been really nice I feel lucky.
Someday we're going to go to that vegan food truck deal when it opens back up together.
Yeah. There's a really great, there's a few trucks that still are in the neighborhood. And so I went and got myself a little treat, a little Nashville chicken sandwich.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll meet you for a Nashville chicken sandwich and we can eat it 6 feet apart from each other.
Okay.
And we can yell to each other and have a conversation that the whole neighborhood can hear. Soon. We're
okay, so do you have water boiling, Calie?
Should I boil my 3.5 cups of water?
Yeah.
Okay. I will do that.
So we're actually almost done. So once the water boils, just put the mung beans in.
Okay.
And then put the boiling water in, and then we'll add the kale, and it'll be done. And more spices and salt or whatever else you want to make it taste the way you want it.
Perfect. Guys, I have a filtered water deal in my pantry, and that's normally what I drink and what I cook with. But I am using sink water right now for convenience because I don't want to run back and forth to the pantry.
That's a nice setup.
Yeah, I have like that sparklet system. It's just like a little, it plugs into the wall, and you put they deliver it every 2 weeks. The jug outside the door, and I use it to, I had a Brita, but between the boys and I, and using the water to cook and to drink, we literally were filling it every hour, and it was exhausting. So this just works nice and easy for us.
So while your water is boiling, you can actually just toss the mung beans in your vegetable pot.
Okay.
Just stir it all in, and we'll leave this in here for about 5 minutes or so. And that's about how long it takes for the water to boil.
Perfect.
I'm so excited about your cookbook.
Thank you. What was your favorite recipe that you tried? Guys, Jenny was one of our taste testers, since she has nearly 10 years of eating plant-based under her belt. We felt like she was a great resource to give us feedback on whether or not the recipes did the test.
Well, first of all, they were super easy, which is, I think, always a very high priority when looking for a recipe. Again, I'm a sucker for mushrooms, so I loved the mushroom kale.
Oh, I think that's my favorite.
Oh my God, I loved it so much. I wanted to save some for a friend of mine, and then I just like ate the whole thing. And I put so much kale in there. I knew I was gonna like the recipe, so I just dumped a ton of it in, and it was so good. Oh
I love that too, because Jenny just told us that kale's not one of her favorite foods, and she has to sneak it into her smoothies. But in this recipe, mixed with all other stuff, it's good. Baxter's having some issues over here. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. He just drank some water and it didn't go down the right pipe.
Yeah, that I actually put 2 big bunches of kale in, and I doubled them. I just doubled the recipe because it was just, anyway, I really love that. That was so good. They were all so good and so easy. The soup was really good. The carrot ginger soup was really good and easy.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, just to go back on the kale mushroom, it was so good. The next day, I wanted to heat it up and eat it again, and I ended up just eating it. I was like, oh, I'm almost gonna put it in the pan. I'm gonna put it in the pan, and I never made it to the pan. I ate the whole thing cold. It was so good. It was perfect. I love the tofu nuggets. Those are really easy, and I love that like little crunch. I love being able to. I love sauces, so I like eating sauces, dipping it in. That was really good. God, they were all really good. I wish I had the whole cookbook to cook from it, but
I'll be sure to get an advanced copy.
Okay, great. I think what I like about it the most, I mean, aside from the fact that they're all really doable and easy, is I love the suggestions of what else you could do with it. So if you want to add a few things here, or we did it this way, or we added it this way, like it just made it super easy. And like, oh, I never would have thought about adding, like for the chickpea sandwich, by the way, I make that every single week.
Oh my gosh, yay, I love that.
It's so easy, and it's just such a quick go-to. And I love beans, and and you just add whatever you want to it, which I really love. Like it made it no pressure. And I really, really liked and appreciated the different ads that you could do. Thought that.
Thank you. Yeah, we
really
figured, you know, you don't have to recreate the wheel. So there's 80 recipes in the cookbook, but each recipe we give you 3 different bullet points of ways that you can change it up. So that's really like 240 recipes coming from like a foundational base of 80. Baxter's teething, and I have loops on the back of my tennis shoes, and he's literally biting my heel trying to eat the loops right now.
Oh God, he's gonna eat everything.
Oh my gosh, he's cracking me up.
Is your water ready?
Yes, it's boiling. So pour everything in.
So about 3.5 cups boiling water.
All right, I'm adding all my goodies.
And then just give that guy a good little mix.
Oh my gosh, this smells amazing.
And then while you're here, add the kale.
Okay. I'm so excited for my dinner tonight. I love trying new recipes, and it's full of color, you guys. It smells so delicious, and you can already tell how hearty and filling it's going to be. And we couldn't have picked a better day to make this recipe because it's been really hot in LA, but it poured rain here today. So it was cloudy and rainy and cooler. So stew and red wine feels like the perfect dish for tonight.
It does. It was so cozy today. I was so happy about the rain.
It really was. And of course, it was my first day with the new puppy, and I had to take him out like 6 times. But it wasn't a torrential downpour. It was just like a consistent sprinkling. It actually felt nice. We went for a run. We went for several walks. He played in all the puddles, so he's getting a bath after this.
Cute. That's so cute. Are you going to crate train him, or how are you going to have him sleep with you?
Yes, so we're planning to crate train him. He's 4 months old already, and he's been sleeping in a crate, but we were supposed to be getting a different puppy in 4 weeks that we put a down payment on, and he was just born. He's 4 weeks old right now, and we were supposed to pick him up in 4 weeks. And on Saturday, we found out that the owner sold him to somebody else. And I don't really understand the details of what happened, but the boys and I were devastated. And so on Sunday, you know, I was kind of having a bad attitude about it because it was actually our 3rd time trying to get a puppy. And Cade was like, Mom, what do you always say? You know, our puppy's still out there. We're just getting redirected. And I was like, don't use my words against me. And he was like, let's just get online, Mom. Let's just look for other puppies. And I was like, okay, but I need sunshine. Let's go on a walk. Let's walk down to Abbott Kinney. And so we were walking, and he was looking, and he texted this woman who posted a picture of a puppy, and literally 2 hours later, we were driving to pick him up. So I've ordered a crate, but it's not going to be here until like this weekend, like probably Saturday or Sunday. So last night I tried to put him on a blanket next to my bed, and he was not having it. Like, he wanted in the bed so badly. But I didn't know how, you know, if he would pee. And I haven't decided if I want to let him sleep in my bed or not. So I was like, no, I'm not really down for letting him in the bed. So then I tried to confine his space. So I tried to put him in the bathroom because I watched these puppy training videos, and it said, put him in a laundry room or a bathroom. He was crying, losing his shit. So I was like, all right, that's not working. So I came out to the living room, and I put a pillow and a blanket on the couch, and I laid down on the couch, and he got up on the couch with me. This dog cuddled with me the whole night, like his head right on my neck the whole night, like a paw across my shoulder. And he slept straight through the night. He didn't cry, he didn't whine, he didn't wake up, he didn't need to go out. Like, he just cuddled and slept for 7 hours straight. So I might be sleeping on the couch until the crate gets here. I don't know.
I know, I was gonna say, that's gonna be a tough thing to break. Oh my God.
Yeah. that, you know, when the boys come back, I don't care if they want him to sleep in their bed. I just want to make sure he gets through the night without needing to pee before we let him in any of the beds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's our plan. Yeah.
Animal feet, you don't want to clean that up.
Yeah, definitely not. Like, we rolled up all the rugs. There's no rugs out. He's still confused and nervous. Like, he hasn't done his business since we got him. And I've had him for 24 hours now. He's peed twice, but both times immediately upon returning home from a walk, he peed on the floor. So we're getting there. We're working on it, but
a slow peed.
Yeah, he peed on the bathroom floor, so at least he was in the right room.
Okay, so this should be pretty done.
Yes, it looks that way. All right, I'm gonna put mine in a bowl so we can show it off.
Okay.
And I know, like, your recipe said to put fresh cilantro on top, which cilantro happens to be one of my most favorite foods. I couldn't get any fresh cilantro at the grocery store. I'll probably put some hot sauce on it because I put hot sauce on everything.
Same.
But, I mean, ooh, I'm spilling it. Doesn't that look really, really good, you guys? Like, it's so hearty. I drizzled it everywhere, but that's okay. It smells so good. There's so many flavors in here. I cannot wait to try this.
Yeah, you just want to make sure the potatoes are fully cooked. Otherwise, you can just keep it, you can just simmer for 10, 15, 20 minutes until everything is kind of cooked and you'll be good.
Yeah, my potatoes seem nice and soft, like they're breaking up with a spoon. So I'm going to give it a little taste test. And if it's not quite done, I'll throw it back in. Yeah, that's absolutely delicious. It's a really hearty, really nice comfort food. This is going to be so filling. I love the combination of all the veggies. I love that the beans, they're soft, but they still have a nice texture. They're not mushy. I think I'm going to add a little more of all of the seasonings, a little more cayenne, a little more turmeric, a little more salt and pepper. And I have some dried cilantro. I think I'm going to toss some dried cilantro on top of mine.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be delicious. I'm going to throw it back in and season it up. I know the heat helps the flavors pop a little bit, so I'm going to put more seasoning in while it's on the heat.
I love smoked flavor.
Ooh, yeah.
So I have some smoked paprika that I think I'm going to throw in there.
Oh, that's a good idea. I love smoked paprika. I have some right here. I'm going to put some in too. Okay, I'm going to throw a little more coriander in.
And more turmeric, because why not?
Oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. All right. Well, when I plate mine up, I'm going to take a nice picture of it. I think some lovely additions to this, in addition to fresh cilantro or fresh parsley, would be, you could do like a vegan flatbread on the side with a little vegan butter on it, or like a vegan crostini. You could do a little side salad. You could do a little fruit salad on the side. So many options, but honestly, this is like, it's so filling and hearty. I don't feel like I'm going to need to add anything to it. I feel like it's going to be a great dinner and lunch for the rest of the week. Yeah, so thanks for sharing this recipe, Jen. It's so good to see you, number one. And I can't wait to see you in person so we can cook together in the same kitchen and really share a glass of wine. But until then, we'll just have to keep Zooming. And thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for sharing this recipe with us. We really appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon.
Okay, miss you.
Miss you too. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.